Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology update for August 28th through September 4th, 2023. Well, we continue to have just really intense and very powerful astrology and sending us message after message about the immediacy of these times that we're living in. As we kind of have a feeling of coming to this edge of the cliff or the top of the roller coaster ride and what's going to happen. So maybe we should rest and enjoy this next week of this is the last week of Venus retrograde. Venus will turn direct on September 4th. So this week we have both Mercury and Venus retrograde, and so we're kind of stewing in the retrograde energies. We've also got Uranus turning retrograde on the 29th of August and Jupiter turning retrograde on the 5th of September. And so this will be putting basically all of our planets, except Mars, in retrograde. And so here we are. And it's very powerful because Mercury is retrograde in Virgo and the sun is now in Virgo. And of course, we've had the last few months of Mars in Virgo. So a lot of Virgo energy really bringing up a powerful feeling of wanting to clean up and get organized. And Virgo is very specific. They're able to, they have a mastermind and they're able, as ruled by Mercury, sort out, the truth from the lies, to discriminate. It's that seasonal shift of sorting through, clearing the grain from the chaff. And so we are going through this process, and everything is kind of about this, especially over this next weekend for the period of time that Mercury is in retrograde. But after these retrogrades resolve, that's when we're really going to start to feel and understand what this whole last period of time has been about, with Pluto in square to the nodes of the moon. So Pluto in square to the nodes of the moon, they're 2 degrees out right now, and we'll go to 3 degrees and then come back to 2 degrees and then back to 3 degrees. And that all resolves or goes through the whole month of October. So that's kind of been the backdrop of everything else that's been happening. Pluto in square to the nodes, Pluto is our fear of our own power. In Capricorn, we're looking at the structures of authority where we've given away or we've allowed access to our power, and where we've agreed not to come into our power. This is everything right now. It's like, whoa, take a big step back, take another step back, maybe rise up, grow your wings, and look down at this from the bigger picture of this whole evolution. And how many thousands, of years we've been in this battle to take back our earth and take back our sovereignty and take back our full permission to evolve spiritually. And this is what's going down. So those advanced souls, it's almost like I'm seeing a picture, and we've kind of heard this of waves of different souls coming in, and but I'm kind of getting this picture of like, our light beings, what happened to them? They also got lost. Better send in another wave of light beings, more advanced and more advanced. And then the masters are incarnating, who never wanted to incarnate again, and yet they're pulled into this. And really, it's about all of these souls wanting to be here at this amazing time, to be boots on the ground. What an honor. Well, our daily life hasn't really necessarily felt that way. So let's kind of talk through these energies and just let that Pluto square the nodes. The nodes of the moon, they came into square right when the nodes were switching signs from Taurus and Scorpio. They moved backwards into Aries of Libra. So now we have the nodes firmly establishing in these new signs, but right when they shifted, that's when they were in exact square. So there's something about this very powerful shift, the nodal shift, and Pluto square the nodes. So the nodes have an energy of fate or destiny, right? Like um, the north node is how are we going to get to where we're going? South node, what's holding us back karmically from the past? So the North Node in Aries is saying that it's a very powerful energy. We have not felt this. We have Chiron in Aries, we've had Jupiter in Aries, um, and we've had a lot of Aries energy, but the North Node in Aries is bringing kind of a culmination of this, like a righteousness, a frustration, the power that supernova souls need to claim back their soul and their destiny. Because really, we have been hijacked. The only way to really hijack us on a soul level is through manipulation over lifetimes. And now we say, no more, because maybe we could look at it as that bigger picture. And this is really hard to do right now, I know, but the bigger picture that everything that's happening is play of the one. In that case, all of these forces that have worked against you in such intense ways, creating such pain and trauma, that just doesn't fit. It's really important for us as much as we need to get out a victim, but to like honor that unacknowledged victim of like, you are a pure and beautiful soul and you have been beaten down to the ground. Now, this is part of the energy we've been talking a lot about the shame and low self-worth and things that need to be resolved in order for us to come into our power. And with Venus spending over a month, Venus retrograde in Leo, over a month and square to Jupiter in Taurus. And Jupiter is just about to turn retrograde. So, but that energy is about self-worth and shame, clearing it up so we can receive our gifts. But there's kind of like, we've been doing this, right? Karma clearing, shame clearing, and all this. And it's like, oh my gosh, is there more? And we're getting to this nitty gritty place. And even though we haven't gotten the full disclosure of truth, which is going to change everything for us, we're coming up against some residue shame that has to do with, well, really the core energy over lifetime seems to be about where in our precious evolved human soul having to go against nature, having to play a role somehow and unavoidably, going against your true nature, which means causing harm, hurting others. And it could be that we've even been forced to do this in a state that we can't access that consciousness, either in past lives or through MK Ultra type manipulation in this life. And perhaps there's shameful energies around what we have been made to do through manipulation. And I guess that really goes back to a core energy of Atlantean time. So those that carry the biggest burden of Atlantean time were those that knew about the weapons of mass destruction, the same thing that's going on now, the Maui fires, directed energy weapons. That's exactly the same technology that created the Atlantean catastrophes. So isn't it about time to end this story, right? Take back this power that's ours, that was never meant to be misused. We've got to rebirth Lemuria. Oh, is this the attack? The reason for the attack of this powerful mother location of the earth. Lemuria, this where we were living in absolute balance, harmony. Yes, advanced technologies, but only for the benefit of humanity. And we must reclaim this. That means we must reclaim our technologies. But they won't tell us about them. They will continue to use them against us in ways that if you knew. And so here we are in this place of unwinding all of these stories. And perhaps there is a subconscious shame. And the other shame that's coming up that's very interesting is around, okay, this has to do with our personal relationships. It probably has to do with the South Node in Libra. Libra, the sign of relationships. But these situations again and again, and perhaps over lifetimes, but definitely this life, where you have allowed people to treat you with disrespect, and not just disrespect, but, abusive behavior. We're trying to be good people. We don't want to create any more karma, you know? And so we come with love. And then it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna come with love. We're gonna beat that shit into the ground. Um, and there is a feeling in this deep subconscious, maybe it's that combination of the Aries North Node, Libra South Node, and it's like, ooh, I feel so like just like um fail. It's like feeling of failing God or the mother, um, by allowing ourselves to be treated in such a way. You know, now if this we have this story of our bigger self incarnating, right? A part of us that master self, it's who we are, but couldn't quite fully land for different various reasons in this incarnation or in previous as well. And so here we are landing home. And then this master self, this part of ourselves that realizes the precious gift of who we are, and then facing where we have allowed preciousness to be so mistreated. And it goes along with our earth, our mother. Like, here we are, like, trying to bring back the garden. And then there's forces that are, like, deliberately trying to attack the source of the mother. And beautiful thing about this is that, you can feel that we are at the end of this, and it's up to us to stand up and say, and for mother's landing home, she's fully incarnating. And we talked about this part of that's tied up in all these mysteries of the feminine and the darkness and the shame has to do with the illusion of separation, of course. And within that, there's this paradigm and story that Mother Earth is mad, right? So this was the whole thing, like, okay, we screwed up and we made monsters or whatever the heck was going on in Atlantean time, and there's too much evil. And so, you know, Earth is going to go ahead and take back, God is going to go ahead and take back the world, right? And it's like the mother is actually, our Earth is a mother, a living, breathing creature, and she has no retribution energy. She's just this beautiful, neutral, loving goddess with, you know, abundant regeneration. That's her message. She's like, look, there's abundant regeneration. Are you now we have a choice of being on board with the abundant regeneration in our own body, in our own field. We don't have a choice, right? We have to in order to survive through this. And then there's those energies that go against life. And so we are at this place where enough of humanity is aware of the true story more and more every day. And this truth, this sort of truth, which we keep having these powerful oppositions, like with Mars, since Mars has been in Virgo, now Mars has moved over to Libra today. But in Virgo, made opposition with Saturn, opposition with Neptune, making that kite. We're just feeling the end of that kite shape, opposition with Neptune and the Grand Earth Trine. And that is this, we've been talking about this, like, what the energy of these oppositions with Pisces and Virgo, especially with our masculine energies, are like a sword of truth. Michael's sword cutting through all the bullshit. And powerful activation of this pure white light just reveals all and sends the demons running. And so the picture is the sword is being inseminated into the earth, and it's activating that mother dragon. And that beautiful union of the masculine and feminine is just sending this white light through all of these channels, through all the ley lines, and just basically purging the earth of this evil. Like, no more. We've had enough now. Now we must understand that evil has played a role. It all takes place in the one, you know? And so we're coming to this place of like, but we know we still have to come back to compassion and love. We know the heart is the only way forward, and the mother, and the way she loves with this, which is without retribution or judgment on any level. She loves us no matter what. And so we're coming back into the compassion of the heart, but to deal with all these levels and layers of that, where that compassion was manipulated from us as a way to control us. And our nonviolence, our non-interference, our non-karma, just like, it's like this darkness just oozed in and was like, used that as food to keep us in these lower energies and acting out of these lower impulses, even though that's not who we are. But it's important to understand that Mother is not retribution. We're not the activation of the earth and the higher frequency vibration. See, this is the quintessential program we're coming up against. The program that says that higher frequency vibrations are destructive. Okay, so let's just go back to Atlantean time. Okay, and if it's true that that was not natural destructions, very clearly shown to me in past life readings and confirmed in the Edgar Casey readings as well, that there was actually a weapon. Okay, and so then we go back to that story, and the lie that was created, right? That higher frequency, this technologies we were using, because they framed us to think that we caused it because we were working with cutting edge technologies. That's supernova souls. If you were here in Atlantean time, that was the role you were playing. And so, we got caught in this story of punishment and retribution, so-called misusing power. But all we were doing was amplifying it. We were just growing it, and it was all for these beautiful purposes. This alignment and understanding, sound and frequency and color and geometry and the natural elements, the biomimicry. Like it's just like this incredible technology. This was the experience as an Atlantean scientist, as supernova souls. Like, oh, cutting edge. It was like one of the only lifetimes where you had this full support for your work in this world, through society, through monetarily support in the physical realm, and a team to work with, and that exciting feeling of waking up every day and being excited about what you might discover that could help humanity. And that's the moment that these catastrophes occurred. So we were getting close to something they never wanted us to come back to. And so we associated Mother Earth, like getting angry and punishing us and all that stuff. And that's just not at all true. Now, it doesn't mean Mother Earth awakening won't bring a cleansing and a detox. And of course, we're ahead of the game with all this Virgo energy, cleaning up our act, starting to say no to those energies that are not serving and loving us. Like I must and will treat myself as divine. You also will be treating me as divine. This is a big shift in our relationships. It's a big reason why we've lost most of our relationships, because supernova souls, the story is like, for the most part, you've been surrounded by these karmic relationships that are about not recognizing you, making sure to not recognize you or reflect back your spiritual truth as an agenda. And that's what we think is love. And it's all about negating and validating and degrading who we are as love. So we're unpacking and unraveling all of this. And that's the South Node in Libra too, like major relationship stuff, because it's like, whew. And then you don't want to cause harm. We don't want to cause harm. And this is we're in such a stuck place, right? Because to speak truth and live truth right now, you kind of have to cause harm. Right? It's like, oh God, what do we do? Just isolate, right? And so we're back in the cave. But maybe that's where we need to be. But those old relationships, it's like we really have to have a boundary and be like, look, I am sorry to myself and to you that I allowed you to treat me with such disrespect. And this is the thing, we come to this bigger play. It's like, all right, forces of evil, you brought me to my light. Thank you. I love you. I forgive you, but that's the end. Now I'm done being tortured as a soul because I've come back home, turning my light on. Just get that out of the way. So it's just such an incredible time to get to the core nitty gritty of what's held us back. And supernova souls one by one are just slowly landing home and recognizing this is our process, right? Our master self, that love, compassion, the power of who we are and what we've experienced and developed in our soul faculties over many lifetimes, is landing home, the truth of us. And this person or this reality is very different than the placeholder of the lower self that's been beaten, battled around because we weren't whole and complete. Just remember this. You weren't whole and complete. You were manipulated beyond what you could imagine. We all created and did things that went against our nature. And now we clean it all up. Now we put rewind. Now we go, woo, 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 woo. No, this is what's true. This is what's in alignment. So we have to remember that our bigger self, this landing, this master self, has a very different set of needs, requirements. And I think that's the core energy of this shame coming up of like, whoa, I can't believe I let this precious spiritual essence be so mistreated. And yet that's what played out. So there's huge waves of emotion happening right now. And we have to understand that we've been so manipulated in our emotions because that's how they feed on us with the luge. And so we need to take back control of our emotional field, but there's just so much healing that needs to happen and rebalancing. It's like all these mixed messages in our emotional field keep us from the power of our emotions. Because when we put our mind, our thoughts, our emotional energy, and our will together with the image of what it is that we know is true and what we want to create, like garden, or the ideal, or the optimal, power in that is so powerful. And it does come from our emotional energy in alignment with that which we want to create. But we have been so damaged in our emotional body that we've kind of just shut it down, suppression. Maybe this is part of the powerful emotions. It's like, but we're also so sensitive to the collective. And so just know that you could be like transmuting things for your whole neighborhood and not even realizing you're doing it, but letting the energies move through your field, right? It's just almost be like that. Imagine that you can let it all just move through you, like you're just a vessel, because it will pass. It's such a super dynamic time. If you do feel strong emotions, just cry the tears, feel the feelings, let it go. One of the things we're realizing is that when we do grow our energetic field and come back into the power that we are and take back and claim that energy, it is quite a power. You are radiating a vibration. And then the forces at that point seem to seek to trigger us back into the negativity and the frustration. Have you had some zombie encounters? Because the medical agenda or the New World Order agenda is about creating a fully controllable human race. That means that unsuspectingly, there's a lot of people right now that have fully become, and they can work as agents to trigger you into those lower emotional states. So it's really weird because it's like, oh gosh, how do we? And then the disorder. This creates what I'm seeing is this disorder in our astral field because of this emotional manipulation and soul manipulation and trauma and abuse that we've all experienced. And we're just like, it's like we've got to untie these knots and sort through this. It's like all these broken messages, right? It's like fragments. One of the things that's coming forward that's a really important message. We've talked about the power of our electromagnetic field, and it's interesting. It's actually very potent to call this our bioelectromagnetic field because that reminds us that it's our body. They want us to think this is our body, our physical, but we're so much more, right? And when we don't know about the power of our bioelectromagnetic field, then it can be hijacked. Everything manipulative that can be done to us through technology must have access to our biofield. And this is where we're using this righteousness and the Aries energy, the activation of our spiritual will, and being like, mine, my field. Because the message again that's come through is that the awareness, our awareness of the power of our electromagnetic, our bioelectromagnetic field revokes consent. It's just the awareness of the power of it, you know? So we're coming to learn and know this. And so that's a really important energy. The other thing that's coming up is a picture of, so one of the things that they're after with this, all this manipulation is this DNA. You know, we all have a very unique, powerful, uncorruptible DNA, right? But there's deliberate attempts to overwrite our DNA. And actually, our DNA has, the picture I'm getting is that there's this kind of core level DNA, and then there's the unwritable part, and then the writable. So they're trying to use the writable part to affect or keep us from the unwritable God code. And all the writable is just, we're so clogged up. So you can look at this as like everything that's happened to you in your life, or disease or illness that you've had, is kind of written in these codes, you know? And so the DNA is a field. And we just talked about the power of our bioelectromagnetic field. So our DNA is, got kind of receptors. It's like a antenna, and that it's like a hologram projected in our field. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so this means that they're abducting us through our field, through our DNA, so we need to take a hold of this projection in our field of our DNA and work energetically with it. So sometimes I know these messages come through and it's like, oh, I got to share this with supernova souls. But sometimes the more, powerful message comes in, the less you know what to do with it, right? But process through all of these teachings for supernova souls, and messages have been kind of like, get used to this idea, and then it will make sense in your heart later. Like now, if you've been following me for years, I've been saying the biggest part of you is not here yet. Ooh, and we talked about that Leo new moon being a perfect opportunity for this master to just land home like a comet. And now we're unpacking this and adjusting and trying to figure out. And it's interesting because we've been so isolated, and yet this time is pulling us deep into the cave. That cave that we went for respite, for healing, for meditation, to disconnect from the tribal consciousness. We got to go there. We got to be there. Because in that cave is this one little light, And yet that one little light lights all of the darkness. And so we are kind of called to disconnect from everyone and everything. Not that we want to be aware of what's going on, because we're in such a dynamic changing times. And so our consciousness can support just by being somewhat aware. But on the other hand, we need to just go deep into that meditation space where we give ourselves full permission to create a life that can support this god or goddess that's landing, this king or queen, and to me, it's like what unfolds in front of us is the garden, that Lemuria, that energy of coming back into everything in alignment with life, and enough of giving our energy over to the evil parasites, right? Enough is enough. So it's powerful that we're coming up on this Pisces full moon here, and this is Wednesday, August 30th. The Pisces full moon happens at 7:35 p.m. in Mountain Time on Wednesday, the 30th. And so the activation will be on Wednesday, August 30th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. I hope you can consider joining. because this lunation is so powerful after that Leo new moon of like pulling us into our body as who we really are. And then 2 weeks later, here this Pisces full moon. Now, the power of this full moon is that the sun is opposite of, or that it's not too far away from Saturn. The full moon happens at 7 degrees, number of Christ consciousness, and fish, Pisces, Christ consciousness. So we are activating the Christ consciousness timeline. And the power of this full moon is that it's so close to Saturn. So full moon happens at 7 degrees, Saturn's at 3 degrees. So they'll be 4 degrees apart for the full moon, but it's that this time right now leading up, these few days leading up to this full moon that's so powerful, because right now the sun is in exact opposition to Saturn. And so it's like we're feeling the sun opposition Saturn, sun in Virgo opposite Saturn, this again, it's bringing that sort of truth type energy. And in this case, the sun, who we are in our light, going up against and wanting to clean up the lies of who we've been told that we are, and all the invalidations and all the bullshit. It's like sort through that. Don't need it. Virgo has no problem leaving behind what does not serve. Very powerful energy, and the sword cutting through. And it's like the light of truth of who we are spiritually going up against Saturn in Pisces. And Saturn in Pisces is retrograde and seems to be about reclaiming the magic and miracles, rewriting and clearing up the distortions of the Piscean Age. And in order for us to reclaim the magic and miracles of the Piscean Age that were stolen from us. Wow. Imagine, so much stolen from us. And then there's a story about sevenfold, coming back sevenfold at 7 degrees Pisces. So does that mean that when Saturn turns direct, we can really start moving into the miracle energy that is at our disposal? And now we're clearing all the shame and whatever's in the way, It's like we are convinced by the way we are treated that we deserve to be treated that way. And, so much of what I was seeing in this unpacking of the DNA is these key inserts of like disease energies. And there's an energy of this reptilian energy, this snake. We know that there's snake venom in the vats. And so there's something very powerful with that archetype. We're also clearing the garden, healing the story of the serpent, the snake, the distortions, which is the parasites, coming back to the original energy of the snake, which is transformation and Kundalini activation. So we are unpacking all of this and taking back our rightful access to creation energy, which is everything the Goddess Activation course is about. And we're coming up on week 3. It's not too late. You could catch the replays if you want to join. Goddess Activation, incredibly powerful, working with the archetypes of the feminine archetypes to support us in reclaiming this access to creation energy and getting back to a juicy, creative, co-creative life. And this is everything, it's everything around reclaiming the garden. And so when Saturn turns direct, maybe it's like moving into this energy of full access to those miracles and blessings. And that's us. If we're landing home as our master self. And it's just quite a difference from being like cast aside, feeling completely alone, feeling completely abandoned, completely disregarded, demonized. People are scared of you, like just like into landing home as this master self. So use this week for this reorientation, because we are at this is the last week of Venus retrograde. So we've got now we are unwinding. And the unwinding is going to be a gradual thing because we have, like I said, Uranus turning retrograde and Jupiter turning retrograde. So we're just starting like every planet in retrograde, right? So it's like Mercury and Venus retrograde together. Our personal planets are like beginning the unwinding of this story and start and the new timeline, right? It's like we coiled up into that. The snake is coiled into the coil, and now we shoot back off into the most appropriate alignment. So let's talk through this timeline. We've got Venus turning direct on the 4th of September, 1 week from today. And then Mercury will turn direct on the 16th of September. Now, this is really powerful because we talked about this incredible Pisces full moon. This is a culmination of this. It's like the next piece of us landing home and rewriting the timeline, right? Taking back the miracles. And then, so we want to look at these lunations because the next lunation is the Virgo new moon that happens on September 14th, just before Mercury turns direct. Okay. And it happens at 21 degrees Virgo, almost 20, pretty much 22 degrees. But it's very interesting because that's right where Mercury turned retrograde. Mercury is still at 21 today, just turned retrograde on the 24th, you know? So this 21 degrees Virgo, 22 degrees Virgo is an incredibly powerful placement. And to have that new moon happen, the sun and the moon coming together, it's like, boom, what is this about? And then the Mercury at retrograde as it resolves. Mercury is about the mind. It's the messenger. It's Hermes. It's like the winged messenger ability to have a greater perspective, information we need. So what is the information we need? And we've already getting a sense of Mercury and Virgos clean that shit up. And so that Virgo new moon is very powerful. And at the same time, okay, so we were talking about how Mars has been in this kite, creating a kite, our warrior self opposite Neptune, and Neptune at the tip of the kite and sextile to Pluto and Capricorn, as well as Uranus and Taurus. It's a loose, they're 3 degrees out of sextile, Uranus and Neptune, but that's close enough to make this okay. And so now the sun will be making this kite, and then Mercury will be making this kite in 2-week increments. So it's something very important. And it also corresponds exactly with Mercury retrograde cycle. So Mercury just turned retrograde when Mars made the kite. Mercury will turn direct when the sun makes the kite at the Virgo new moon. And then Mercury will come out of retrograde shadow, the Aries full moon, really powerful energy, which is Friday, September 29th. And so we've got these heights and then in 2-week increments and corresponding with the new and full moons, corresponding with the Mercury retrograde, everything is lining up. And that is like, picture I'm getting is like the lining up means you get out of your prison cage now. And indeed, I saw this, like when I was getting this message of like, oh gosh, even our most advanced souls have gotten stuck down in that pit. We're going to need I mean, we talk about how we don't need a savior, right? We're trying to rewrite and rework the distorted mythology of the Piscean Age, and yet we're going to need a mission. You know? Now, I saw this beautiful picture of the luminous body, and of course we think of Jesus, Yeshua. He demonstrated publicly, it was recorded, this transition to luminous body. And to show us, you can do what I can do and more, right? And it was this going to the dark catacombs of those souls, those children, this energy of the goddess, the mother in chains in the underworld, and showing the luminous body, showing these incredible souls just got lost. We just got lost. We got to forgive ourselves. It's all part of the plan. So we can come back fully and completely and know we deserve it and fully embody it and be like, watch out, world. Because supernova souls are landing home and the future is right? But it's like the luminous body can slip right through the bars of the prison. And that's the message for us today. Um, and this talking about today, I mean, it's kind of like interesting this period of time because through this next lunations, right? So that we're talking like a month. We also so this the next month is this process of resolving the retrogrades because like I said, Mercury turns direct on the 16th, out of shadow on the 30th. Venus turns direct on the September 4th, out of shadow on October 7th. So this whole next month as the retrogrades evolve is resolving. On the whole next month we have Black Moon Lilith. Now we talk about that powerful yod where we've had all of these planets come in and in Leo be the point of the yod. We just had the sun do it. Venus did it just as she turned retrograde. So she'll be doing that again as she comes out of retrograde shadow. And so because these are big the okay, so the yod is held in place. What the yod is the sextile between Pluto and Neptune, and they're such slow moving planets. It's just we have this sextile between Pluto and Neptune all the way through the end of October. And so it's interesting because that's exactly the influence of Pluto square the nodes through the end of October. And so we have this yod between this incredible sextile because we talk about Pluto square the nodes and the tension and like setting ourselves through free, moving that wheel of time, claiming back our autonomy as souls. And this sextile, Pluto sextile in Pluto and Capricorn sextile Neptune and Pisces is like rewriting, reworking, using the energies of the primordial potential of Pisces. Pisces is like going back to the one, the wholeness is like to the raw materials, and using that dream, the ability to dream and vision to create a new world, dream a new dream. And that dream means, clearly the dream. If it's the garden, we're not chained in the garden, right? We're free. We're freeing ourselves from this external control. But it's a harmonious support for that. And then to have a yod, and the point of the yod is then exactly opposite in between those two signs. Because the sextile is 2 signs apart, 60 degrees. It represents miracle solutions. And then across the way in Leo, the center is where now we had Venus and the sun, now Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith is very slow moving too, and it's not even a planet. It's just like a black walker in space. It's just like it's the apogee, the furthest away that the moon gets from the earth. So it's like dark, shadowy mysteries and secrets. It has to do with the 12th house in our chart. The house of Pisces. So very interesting. We've got Black Moon Lilith. Now, the tip of the yod is very interesting because the tip of the yod is destiny. It's the point of destiny. And as Black Moon Lilith is there, because we've got Neptune's at 26 degrees, Pluto's at 28 degrees. And so when she's really at the tip of the yod, she's at 27 degrees, which is 2 and 7 makes 9, and it's the end. This is the end of this old bullshit stories, right? Game over. But we feel the effect of this yod through the 20th of September. Even beyond that, it's when the exact is over. So it's like it's in conjunct with Pluto. Exact goes through the 20th. So it's like we'll feel that through October as well. So it's like, but for this whole month, it's like this whole month we've got Black Moon Lilith at the tip of the yod. Now that puts Black Moon Lilith in exact trine to the Galactic Center and to the North Node in Aries. So Grand Fire Trine and that North Node in Aries, like, oh, had enough of this, How can we have enough of this and be righteous and powerful and not create harm? Because we got to figure it out, because we got to get out of this prison, Oh, luminous body. So that Black Moon Lilith Yod and Grand Fire Trine. We've got a full month of it. And Black Moon Lilith has an interesting, mysterious energy, and a certain transits with Black Moon Lilith will create like this access to that Kundalini energy, like an activation. So this fire, it's a very fiery activation of this life force energy, creation energy, the Kundalini energy, like rising in us, access to it again, like feeling, like this is our birthright, but we've been so manipulated. Like, it's like we've been given a false pineal gland. It's like we've been given a mechanical version of each chakra. And we have to go around that and claim back our organic machinery or, our organic organs. The power of regeneration to create new pathways, stronger and more powerful than the original could ever be. Perhaps this is the role of these negative forces. So at the same time as we've got this next month of the retrogrades resolving, Black Moon Lilith, Grand Fire Trine, Tip of the Yod, we also have those 3 kites happening. And get this, Venus is getting ready to turn direct, right? I mean, she's got it 1 more week. She's going back. This is when we feel it the most. A lot of times, like, going backwards into this dark black hole, but she's reclaiming her power and her light. So Venus turned retrograde at 12 degrees, or turns direct at 12 degrees, and Jupiter's at 15 degrees. Jupiter will turn retrograde at 15 degrees. On the 5th, the day after Venus turns direct, right? So like switching places. So, but this square, this means because Venus is a very fast moving planet. And so retrograde, he's like slowing down and having a process. So this means that Venus will stay in square to Jupiter for over a month. But it's powerful because this is like that can opener thing, the can of worms. We want to get the worm. How can you get rid of the worms if you don't open it and look at it? And this is where we are. And so Venus is very important energy for us because Venus retrograde, going back into the depths of the deepest, darkest mysteries of why she can't be whole in her light, and not allowed, to access her own creation energy. And then so she's turning the tables. So the 4th of September is the turning of the tables as she turns around, and it's going to take some time, right? She's not coming out of shadow till October 7th. And that's when she'll go on to have her exact third and final exact conjunction with Black Moon Lilith at 0 degrees Virgo. In fact, they move over together into Virgo. So 0 point of Virgo, the rebirth of the goddess, the rebirth of the feminine, right? So turning the tables is the death and then the rebirth. And so that Venus square Jupiter will last so long because it's like they just made the square at 15 degrees and now she's going back to 12. So it's still in square and then back. Oh gosh. And but squares bring tension and difficulty. It's like can't keep going the way you're going. In this case, it's like can't keep going the low self-worth and shame because your master self's landing and they will not stand for it. And so Jupiter is our permission to expand into our wealth. And Jupiter squares are positive, see? Right? Because Jupiter is more and resources and abundance and expansion and luck and money. And it's like, but then Venus is like, I don't know. Can I handle it? Do I deserve it? I don't know. Maybe I should just stay in my dark corner of my cave and my low self-worth and I'll be safer there. So here we are. And so just keep in mind that this next month, 6 weeks, is like an incredible unpacking, unraveling. And as Mercury turns direct on the 16th, then we start getting clarity about what this is all about. And it all has to do with what started the whole story of this astrology, Pluto square the nodes, which is turning the wheel of time, claiming our autonomy, taking back our earth, and getting on with our God-given right for spiritual evolution. So thank you, Supernova Souls, for going through all you've gone through to be here with us today. What an honor to be here with you now that we are understanding this powerful masters. And so, wow, thank you for your attention on being with me and sharing this energy and entertaining these concepts. Because as you work with them and they become real and you own them for yourself and your heart, you're like serving such a purpose and support for other supernova souls. Because what we've been doing over these last years is creating a field, and everything we do in these activations, we come together, it grows the field and strengthens the field for all of us to draw on. And even those supernova souls that don't know they're supernova souls. And so if you encounter one of these, which is going to be happening more and more, please share this information and perhaps they can gain some support and help from it as well. Thank you so much for your support, Supernova Souls. Being a part of the Supernova Soul tribe for $10 a month, it gets you weekly video updates, monthly Q&As, lots of resources for Supernova Souls. And the $20 gets you a month membership, gets you all of that, and then into the activations, new and full moon activations, and sharing circles after. So thank you so much for your support. There's also a link to donate if you'd like to make your offering that way. But the best offering is your attention, your energy, your presence, and your awareness and your commitment to your truth, your light, and uh, holding fast to this, your soul, your property. So holding that point of light through this storm. So thank you so much, Supernova Souls. And I hope to see you at the Pisces Full Moon activation Wednesday, August 30th at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And or on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.